Buy or lease my next car. Now, this is going to sound like a funny topic that people might not even think of as being an option. Whether you're going to buy your next car, you're going to lease your next car. I'm going over my thought process between, I need a new car in the future, in the soon future, that I'm looking at both options, okay? Buying or leasing. And surprisingly, they're actually pretty close in comparison with the numbers I ran. Now, obviously, this isn't telling you to buy one car or lease one car, right? I'm going to tell you the steps I went through into making my decision and things you got to consider, things I considered. And I think this would be valuable for you to understand. Before I go any deeper into it, I want to give you a context of me before actually doing the comparison. So, to start off, I'm not a car mechanic by any means. I don't know cars, anything like that, you know. So these prices could be wrong, but what do I even know? Okay. Right now, I'm currently driving my mom's car for one, and I hardly go anywhere with it. The reason being, she works from home. I barely go anywhere. It's like there's really no point. She barely goes anywhere. So I have her car, but her car is on the older side. So this is something to consider in the future, the near future, before anything can go wrong. So outside of me not knowing anything as far as mechanically goes with the car, as far as, I could change oil, I could change the tire, I could start a dead battery, and I don't know, I can put the right gas in the tank. So I'm not saying that buying a older used car is a terrible decision to make. It's just not what I'm going to be considering. Okay. I'm going to be looking at a newer car. Okay. Obviously, the lease is new, but buying wise, it can't be something old. Okay. Of course, somebody can tell me prices are wrong. I can always do something cheaper with buying. Well, I'm looking at something newer. So prices are relatively comparable. Okay. And so, the whole context about me. Don't know nothing about cars, so I don't want to hear nothing about this, and that. All right. So, context about the two cars that I'm even eyeing in the first place. I mean, first off, they're in the same category, right? They're both sedans. Okay. It's not like I'm looking to buy a truck or I'm looking to lease a car, right? Two different vehicles. Okay. They're both little sedans, A to B, reliability with some features. Okay. Now, I'm not going to consider gas or insurance price. I'm assuming they're going to be around the same. Newer sedans, it just cancels out. So I'm not even going to be looking at it. Both got to be in really good condition. Now, obviously, with the lease, it's going to be new. So assuming it's going to be in a good condition. The used car is the main factor that I'm looking into. Okay. And there's a couple factors that I'm looking into it with the used car, as far as, I'm looking at 2019 and newer. It has to be less than 40,000 miles on the dash. And of course, it has to have like a clean history. I honestly like looking, if you look on like Car Gurus, it will tell you if it has a single owner. If you look on cars.com, they usually give you a free Carfax. Car Gurus has auto check, kind of check the history, but they like to charge for that. But you can get those for free if you actually go into like the dealership and check the car out itself. Okay. And then two main features with the used car. Obviously, I could buy probably a little bit of a cheaper used car without features, but if I'm going to be buying something new, I plan on holding it for a while. I want a couple features. Okay. And those two features, sunroof and remote start. Okay. And with those two, I know that I'm going to get basically the essentials, the newer essentials, right? Like a backup camera, Bluetooth, Apple CarPlay, whatever, right? Stuff like that. But those two main things, sunroof, remote start, I know I'm going to get, basically everything I want out of it. And I look to even look at comparable cars without those two main features, I'd say maybe 3K, which to me would be worth it because I'm thinking long term as far as buying the car. All right. And then as well as the lease is based off of deals this month. Okay. And it's in North Carolina. So mind you, when you do a lease, you have to look at your specific state because I found a couple deals that, or a couple different leases that were specifically tailored towards like the South. For some reason, it was like North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama. I don't know what it was, but when I looked at these cars, right, these aren't just one-off cars that I found, right? There's a few cars that are similar in price, similar in features, all around together, okay? And the two that I chose, starting with the used car, is a 2024 Nissan Sentra SV, 28,125 miles, call it 28K, and it's right under $20,000. That's the outdoor price. And versus leasing, I found a 2025 Toyota Corolla. Now with the lease, of course, you have to mind that you have to be under a certain mileage per year. With the Toyota special, it's 12,000 miles a year for 36 months. Now with the pricing for that, we got $4,178 down initially, right? So this covers all the registration. It's like the first month down, whatever, everything that comes with that. Then you got $179 a month, and it's like a $350 return fee, right? A disposition fee, they call it, when you give the car back or something. I think it only gets waived if you hop back into like one of their programs, if you do another lease with them. I think that's how you can get it waived. My aunt, she does leases with Nissan, and that's usually how it works with her. So I'm assuming, but regardless, we're going to assume worst case scenario for all of this. Okay. We're going to assume that we're paying the full 20,000 for the used car, and then the full, all this money together for a lease car. Now, starting off, when you get a used car, you can really walk out the door with only paying the tax, title, state fees, city, whatever, anything like that. Put that amount, I say worst case scenario, probably like 1,500. It's anywhere from like 12, maybe even 1,000. But I like to just think bigger numbers, overshoot it rather than undershoot it. So we'll just say 1,500. And that's going to be the same about for both of them. Okay, so I didn't include it right here. Now, 1,500 basically to walk out the door, and this is zero down as far as the payments, and you'll get a 72-month loan, so that's 6 years, and interest rate is about 8%. I found. Okay, and that'll get you the whole car basically paid off in your name. Now with the lease, so I wanted to do the 179 times the 36 months. Okay, and that comes out to 6,444 plus the down payment plus the return fee, and that total is $10,972, not including the tax, title, whatever, right? It's an even clean. So looking at that, I like to look at averages. Okay, so obviously it's a lot putting this down. You got the 4K plus another 15. You're paying almost damn near $6,000 out the door just to walk out with this lease to get a lower payment, mind you, of 179. But put it all together, I found the average for 36 months is $305 a month. Look over here on the used car side to get that 72-month loan, 8% zero down, $360 a month. Now, of course, looking at it like this, I'm not making my decision, okay, 305 versus 360, I'm choosing the lease. No. It goes a little bit deeper than that. Now, mind you, I did the 72-month used car loan on purpose because half of that 72 months is 36, right? 72 months is 6 years. 36 months is 3 years. Now, let's just consider that I did the lease terms twice. Well, it's not going to be the exact same price because, well, number one, for me, tint is mandatory. Okay, I have a guy pay him $300, did multiple cars of mine. Always gonna go to him. Cars, mandatory. Yeah, I don't care if I'm leasing. I don't care if I have the car for a year. I'm getting it tinted. Okay, that's just me. Don't care. Now, if I did the lease terms twice, you got to think I'm gonna have to do another tax and title fee because it's gonna be in the company's name. So let's say I do another Toyota, right? It's gonna go back into the Toyota company. I give that car back, and then I do another Toyota car. Okay, so I got to consider that. And now, don't think that Toyota Corolla was the only car that I saw either, because I did see a Hyundai Elantra deal going on. It's probably 500 more than this total price. And there was a Kia K4, I believe it was, similar to this, the 12,000 total. So even then, right? I know there's multiple options if this Toyota is not available in the 3 years. So let's just do that. So I took the initial amount that we had, the almost 11,000, twice because it's 3 years. So then that would get us to the 6 years, 21,944, right? Plus tint, tax, title. We got the total amount. Then I divided by an average of 72 months, which is 6 years. And then now the average came out to $330 a month. Okay, on average. Now remember, the used car is still $360. And I just want to go over why did I even choose a used car, right? Because I mean, number one, we all know that buying a brand new car off the lot is a big hit on a depreciating asset. We all know as soon as we walk out the lot, we're going to lose 20% of the car's value as soon as you drive off the lot. Okay, so I like to look at, couple-year-old cars, low miles. You get that depreciating asset value already gone. Okay, so that initial 20%, somebody already took the hit on it. So that's why I was looking at the Sentra. And there was also multiple other ones. There was a Hyundai Kona, which is more like an SUV type. There was another Hyundai. I think it was a Elantra actually, just an older model. So it's things that are already considered. Now, considerations that I made that you should make when you're deciding whether you want to buy or lease, right? Because obviously we have the average of 330 versus average of 360 for the buying car, the used car. Now, obviously you could put a bigger down payment on the used car, maybe shorten your monthly thing. You'll get higher monthly payments, but it'll be paid off quicker. Okay, like there's a million different scenarios you can go through. My consideration was buying. Am I going to be keeping this car longer than 6 years? Probably not. And a lot of people say, because you lease a car that you don't really own it. Well, you really don't own your bought car either. Like the extent of loans nowadays, I see them go 60 months, 72 months, 84 months. That's 7 years. Who really keeps a car for 7 full years to actually own it, right? The bank owns your car until them 7 years. And a lot of people trade it in year 3, year 4, year 5 anyways. Okay. And by the time 6 years hit, I probably won't be riding the same thing. Okay. Obviously you can make a car last 10 years maybe. Like I said, I'm not car handy. I'm not a mechanic by any means. I've always gone to overpriced dealerships to get basic stuff done because I don't know a reputable mechanic, and no, I'm not going to figure out how to put on brakes or how to do, alignments or whatever. There's a million things you can do with a car. I'm not going to do it. Okay. And Google reviews themselves don't do any justice for these mechanics. Okay. I've heard horror stories where people give them their car, they take the deposit, the car is sitting for 2-3 weeks, whatever, right? I'm good. Dealership, at least I know I'm going to be getting my car back. Sure, they're going to overprice you. on stuff. Might have to source out different things, which I've had to do, but at least I know it's pretty much guaranteed to get done the right way and in a convenient amount of time. Okay. Now, with buying, you got to think after these 72 months, this is now an asset that you own. Okay. So when you trade this in, you'll actually get, a value of it. So let's just say, I just took a guess, say maybe it's about 5-6 grand. Okay. So that's technically an asset under your belt, because then obviously the miles is going to rack up, everything like that, wear and tear on the car. But then I think it cancels out when I talk about maintenance. And of course, I'm sure a wise guy can say, my estimations are wrong. I literally looked up on ChatGPT. You can look up, just type in, I looked up 2024 Nissan Sentra preventative maintenance and preventative work on the car throughout like the whole timeline of it. Okay. Because when you're thinking about buying, you got to think about like the whole milestone services, right? You got the 30K, 50K, 75K, 100K different services that need to get done, right? On top of, eventually you're gonna have to buy a set of tires, brake pads, getting all the fluids replaced, spark plugs. It's just more prone to things going wrong in the higher mileage versus staying with a newer type car. And if anything major goes wrong with it, obviously it's still under warranty, but it's still the dealership's car. It's Toyota's car in this example. So they're going to take care of all that. Okay. And when I think about maintenance, of course, oil change, tire rotation, mandatory across the board. It kind of just cleans out. It's an even sweep. So I didn't even include that in the price. Of course, it's something you got to consider just with the ownership of having a car, of course. Now, buying, when I say mods, okay, I'm not talking about, lowering the car, doing dumb stuff to it. But my last car that I owned before I had to get rid of it, I bought more stuff for it because I knew it was mine, right? Versus if I had the lease, I probably wouldn't have wasted my money on buying stuff. Like, man, I bought new LED headlights, I bought car mats, I bought a whole sub installation kit. That kit alone, without the equipment, was probably like $500-600 just to get the wiring installed, everything put together. And like small little things like that basically added up, and well, it's considered a mod in my book, right? Nothing too big, like a whole like engine swap or whatever, right? You know what I'm talking about. But like little stuff like that, of course I'm gonna do that because I know I'm gonna have the car for 6 years, and I'm basically gonna tailor it my way. Versus I know 3 years, like I said, the only thing, tint is mandatory. I get what you say, it's tint, it's mandatory for me. Okay, so when I'm looking at the price, I just assume that the total cost of that trade-in value in 6 years, whether it's 4,000, 6,000, 8,000, whatever, I just assume it gets canceled out by all this, preventative maintenance and just regular routine checkups on the car that you're gonna have to do anyways. So that was kind of like a wash in my book. And of course, mind you, I never negotiated like a lease before. I've only bought one car for myself, and it was a piece of junk. But as far as like leasing go, I don't know if I can negotiate like the return fee or anything like that. That's why I just assume, max value for all of it. Okay. So that's basically my biggest comparison. Now, the last thing you got to consider, right? I consider this as well, a lease. Am I going to be driving more than 12,000 miles a year? Even consider, are you going to be driving more than 10,000 miles a year? Because that's like starting to be the new standard I've seen. When I looked at the Kia, when I looked at the Hyundai, it was both 10K. Toyota, for some reason, had 12. It's kind of rare, but let's just assume 10K, right? Am I going to be driving more than 10K a year? Honestly, for me, no. I really don't go too far anywhere, you know? And when you do the math, like 12K a year, that's about 1,000 miles a month. Or let's do 10,000 miles a year. 10,000 miles a year, that's about 833 miles in a month. Okay. Am I really driving this much? Me personally, no. The only time I'll be driving that much is maybe vacation. Okay, so back home, I live about 8 hours away from home. I might drive once or twice a year back home because I got dogs, so I gotta drive with them. Now, that total thing is about 500 miles to get there, 500 miles to get back. Let's just assume in total, probably spend about 1,200 miles, right? At that point, I could rent a car. Now, I looked at Enterprise. Enterprise would be about 300 bucks for 5 days. Okay, 300 bucks, 5 days, and this is unlimited miles. So with unlimited miles, obviously I don't have to worry about, going over paying $1 a mile, extra fee, anything like that. Okay. So this is something that you got to consider. Do you drive a lot? Okay. Like for work, I know people that work far away, right? They're driving maybe 50 miles a day. Okay. That stuff's going to add up. Plus you want to go out on the weekends. Plus, you're doing bits and traveling, here and there, little weekend getaways, whatnot. Me, I know I don't. Okay. So at the end of the day, my conclusion was likely when the time comes, I'm probably going to be going with the leasing route. The leasing route, I just consider the monthly average. Okay. A lot of people, sure, maybe you don't even have the money up front, right? Because you got to think both times you're going to have to come up with like 5K, probably six, just think on the heavy side, 6K to walk out the door of the dealership when you're first getting that lease. All right, so you pay the upfront cost, and then of course you get the cheaper 179 a month payments afterwards. But I think in terms of average, right? So about average about 330, and buying about 360. So what's more important to you? Owning something, obviously you might take care of it more. You got more to worry about with it. Me, I don't need to. So I hope this walkthrough, this breakdown kind of gave you a little perspective on what I was thinking, my whole breakdown. Obviously, when you're looking up, you got to look up your location wise. It's a big factor on location, how far, the cars are. Even when I looked up to buy this used car, it's within 50 miles of me, right? I'm not looking nationwide, across country, trying to get delivered, anything like no. And the lease, I think it's like a monthly. It is monthly, and it's also like state variant wise. So you have to check on that depending on where you live, whatever, right?